Hello, it's Jon S Sports Channel back from my run, and it's been a really eventful weekend for me. I did a half marathon at the weekend, so we're going to go straight into the review of the games at the weekend. Let's make sure I get the right date, 16th of November, and we're going to see what we came up with. And this was quite an eventful or non-eventful Saturday, wasn't it? We start with the game at Exeter versus Lincoln City. Now this is a 12:30 game, and we started off watching this, and it was rather a dull game. All I could see was the fact that we couldn't keep the ball for more than one or two passes, and then it would suddenly disappear. There'd be a really good tackle. There were some really excellent tackles by the Exeter defence. But they'd win the ball, and it would go back to a Lincoln player. And you're thinking, I just want more interconnectivity between the players. And you couldn't tell where that these teams were in the top half of the table. You really couldn't. Lincoln City are now 6th, Exeter are 9th. This was a bottom half performance. Believe me, this was a bottom half performance. Couldn't keep the ball, couldn't pass it for more than a few passes. In the second half, it was a lot better in the second half. Believe me, it was a lot better in the second half. And I think Exeter really did look good for their money in that first half, and Lincoln, who've been playing excellent up to a few games ago probably, have been really good money for their football. But in this game, in the first half, I think Exeter really did a lot to be proud of, and they really should have taken the lead a couple of times, but they just didn't. They were what I call grass cutters, or just way high wide, and you just couldn't see them. If they could get one on target and not be a grass cutter, then it was really good. There were a couple of good saves, absolutely spankingly good saves, and the goalkeepers on either end were both can both tap themselves on the back and say they saved their team from losing this one. Although there weren't very many of them, probably one on either side, but it was a good game. I did enjoy it as a neutral. I must admit, I did enjoy it. I wish there was less one or two passes and then losing it, one or two passes and losing it. But I did, on the whole, just about enjoy this one. Exeter City 58% possession, Lincoln City 42%, but Lincoln in the second half did a lot more with the ball, and they had the ball more often in the second half. And they did an awful lot more with it, and you could see them getting closer and closer. But and I think there was one really good save by Exeter City's goalkeeper in the second half. They really should have gone in, that one, but it didn't. And Lincoln just kept peppering. Other than that, and perhaps one more save, perhaps one more. Everything else was either grass cutter or completely wide, when they should have at least put it on target. I remember one near the end and thinking, how the hell did he not get that one on target? Instead he passed it, and it went wide from a second player, which again should have got it on target from that close with two defenders back and the goalkeeper. So was it a fair result? 0-0? Yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't have guessed 0-0 in a million years. We said Exeter City 2, Lincoln 1. Sort of going against the grain there, because I think a lot of people were thinking Lincoln would be able to. They've got the momentum. They've done badly recently, but they can get that momentum back quite easily. Whereas Exeter are just on that rise up, aren't they? And I think people were thinking, they could be due one or two games where they just get the jitters, if you like, and just slow down. I did put in brackets 1-1, so I'll give myself half a star. I did think that it could end 1-1, and I really did think that we'd get goals in this one, but we didn't. 0-0. and we move on to Blackpool versus Northampton. Let's see what we got there. Blackpool Northampton were Blackpool going to continue their rather poor run of late since their new manager bounced, or were they going to come back fighting and show what they could do? Were Northampton going to be able to just show that resilience that they seem to have been showing, or were they going to collapse against a side wanting to bounce back? And that was the questions, really. We decided that Northampton would continue to show the resilience, and that Blackpool probably wouldn't yet show that desire fully on to bounce back. In the end, I think both of them did both of them did their best. Blackpool did turn up, and Blackpool did indeed have quite a good couple of stints in there. There were a couple of really good performances. Sort of area-wise of the time frame. So we had several minutes where Blackpool were just absolutely excellent, and several minutes where Northampton just pulled off those sparks of resilience and that ability to just get up the other end and have a shot on goal. And it didn't matter whether it was on target or not, they were going to have a damn good try at shooting. But it seemed like Blackpool were doing the same thing at the other end. They get into there and they'd just not quite get it on target, or they'd think that they were going to do a wonder goal and it would go miles away. 53% possession to Blackpool, 47 to Northampton. Yeah, that's probably about what I could see in that game. The stats do seem to marry up to the game I watched. 16 shots on target, 16 shots to Blackpool, 4 on target. Yeah, sort of okay for a sort of middle stroke, upper bottom side. And if you look at them in the table, Blackpool 18th, Northampton 16th. You'd probably say that those stats are about right for where they are in the league. Northampton 12 shots, 4 on target. Bigger percent, better figures, but neither of them got one of those 4 on target in the net. And to be quite honest, this was a game for the goalkeepers, wasn't it? There was some absolutely excellent goalkeeping. We've seen 4 teams so far in this review, and all 4 of those goalkeepers can pat themselves on the back because they did sterling work. More so, I think, in this game, because there was more to do in this game. Certainly 16 shots from Blackpool and 12 shots from Northampton. You can see that they were busy bees back on that back line, trying to make sure that if it did come in, they were ready for a shot, and when it did come in and have a shot, they were ready to save it. A couple of times there were a bit of a mix-up in the defence, and I think there were a couple of times when it sort of ping-pong balled around for a few seconds, and the goalkeeper just didn't quite get his act together and stop it right there and then say, that's it, I'm grabbing it, bang. A couple of panics, but on the whole, I think 0-0 was a good score for this game. I think either team, if either team would have won, the opposition would have been thinking, damn, how did we lose that one? It was end to end, it was fun, it was exciting. Yeah, I would have liked a little bit more on target, but and a couple more goals would have really made this game an absolute. 1-1 would have been brilliant. I think 1-1 for this game would have been absolutely brilliant. A neutral's amazing game for League One, really, because that would have given us a bit more. Oh yes, what a goal! And then up the other end, and yes, what a goal! And it would have been more exciting, but. It was exciting as it was. It certainly wasn't a bore draw. I think the first one next to Lincoln was starting to get into a bit of a bore draw. The red card in Exeter, by the way, it was just an obvious red card. Nothing really I could say about that one. But Blackpool Northampton, yeah, very, very good game. I enjoyed it. I think the right score would have been 1-1, absolutely. And perhaps a goal would have just dragged this game up a little bit and got people to think about their shots and have even more amazing saves from the goalkeepers. But as it was, really, really good. Enjoyed it. A good nil-nil. This is amazing. A really good nil-nil. We said Blackpool nil, Northampton 2, thinking that Northampton will probably turn up. Blackpool, I think, there's that bit of a doom and gloom around them at the minute. But I don't think it'll last long. I think they'll quickly be out of that. I can't see them lasting more than 1 or 2 games. They may even pick up the very next game. We'll see what you all lot think. So please do put your comments in for this game. Put your predictions for Blackpool's next game. I'll be really, really interested in that if you could. And we go, so we didn't get one there. 0-0 it was. No, we don't get anything for that one. And we move on to Bristol Rovers versus Crawley. So, Bristol Rovers versus Crawley Town. We said Bristol Rovers 1, Crawley 2, and there's a reason behind that. We said that because Bristol Rovers played in the second half last time out. And I remember saying, look, if you play as good as you did in that second half for 90 minutes, you could absolutely start to win games. When they're ahead, when they're on a run, when they're on they seem to switch a switch in the heads, and they just seem to play together really well and come out some cracking shots. They play really well, they really do. But when they're not playing, their head seems to be miles away. And in the first half, again, they started the first half, and they continued through the first half playing much like they did in the first half in the last game. And what the back line was thinking, God only knows. Bristol Rovers should have been 2-3-0 up by the end of the first half. The crossbar twice, was it? And you're thinking, there's off the goalkeeper and onto the crossbar. Some great shots, but just wide. Side netting, and you're thinking, get them on target, and you might have a chance. But the shots that were coming off just were either brilliant shots, but off target, or bouncing off the keeper, or bouncing off the crossbar, and you're thinking, again, what a goalkeeper that Crawley have. It was really red hot in the first half. Probably the only Crawley Town player I could think of that was actually playing a game of football in the first half. Second half, what a difference. Once again, guys, Crawley Town came out and fought for the ball. And actually, I think in the second half, they managed to dumb down the attacks from Bristol Rovers quite quickly and quite well. Bristol Rovers were still dangerous, and they were still getting some damn good shots. And they were still getting in a position where they could shoot, but not quite getting through that back line like they did in the first half. Again, as per the last game. But Crawley Town the shots that were coming from them, some of them were absolutely corkers, and the saves from the Bristol Rovers keeper. Again, this is 6 keepers that have been absolutely brilliant in their games. Can't fault them. No, you can't really fault them. There's a couple of worrying mishmashes in the Blackpool Northampton game, but on the whole, you can't fault any of these 6 keepers so far. And I think that's really, again, what kept this. There's 2 things that kept this game at 0-0, guys. The keepers and the fact that the shots that could have been, the shots that might have been, that just didn't quite. I think 1 or 2 times it was a bit selfish, and they decided to do the selfish thing and go for it themselves, and it's probably easier just to tap it sideways and confuse the goalkeeper into being on the wrong side sort of thing. But on the whole, I think great apps. This was probably, of the 3 games so far, the best game of football I've seen, and certainly the best 0-0. How the hell this one stayed at 0-0, God only knows. We said Bristol Rovers 1, Crawley 2. We couldn't see this not having a goal, could it? Bloody good. 0-0 it was. 36% possession to Bristol Rovers. 10 shots, 3 on target. Not bad figures for that, really. Not bad at all for 36%. Crawley Town, 64% possession. mostly gained in the second half, and 13 shots, 3 on target. Again, you just want them to get more on target, don't you? Because especially with 64% possession, you should be getting more. But the shots that they're doing, those 3 shots were corkers. I've got one in my head where the goalkeeper only just fingered it around the post, and absolutely amazing shots. But in the end, was it a deserved 0-0? It probably was, because again, I want Crawley Town to do 90 minutes. For God's sake, guys, fans, get that team rolling next game. Get them thinking we can do this for 90 minutes. And I promise you, you're not going to be down where you are. You're going to be well above where you are. And you think Bristol Rovers, it just didn't roll for you, did it? I mean, some of those, how many? You should have been 3-0 up by half time, realistically. And bar for the goalkeeper and the bar and the crossbar, you would have been 3-0 up at least. Just keep at it, and I think that there's great hope for you. I mean, Bristol Rovers are 14th and are 18 points. Sixth place is on 26, so you're only 8 points adrift of the top 6. And when you think of it like that, you think, well, that's less than 3 wins, and we're only about a third of the way through, aren't we? So, you can see some glimmer of hope that they could just nip through this bottom 2/3, because this bottom 2/3 of League One is pretty damn even. So both teams have a really good future if they can just concentrate on certain aspects of their game. So we didn't get anything there, and we move on to our listen along here, which was Cambridge versus Barnsley. What a game that was, and how did we fare in it? So this was our listen along, and 38% possession to Cambridge, 62 to Barnsley, probably about right. It seemed a lot more Barnsley orientated than that to me. It seemed like the figures are a little bit closer together than what I expected them to be. 9 shots for Cambridge, 3 on target. Yeah, that's not bad for 38% possession. They didn't play badly. I'll say that they played quite well, and they did what they needed to do to try and get something from the game, and they succeeded. If that was their game plan, it worked. Barnsley started a little bit rusty, and again, like my friend from Barnsley says, they lose it in the first few minutes, or they lose it in the last few minutes, and in this game it was the first few. So they went behind to an Ndulu goal. Now, if you sort of picture yourself with the Ndulu on the edge of the box, and he's facing away from the box, and he's got a defender behind him and a defender in front of him. So he shoves his arm out against the defender behind him and manages to turn round and go around the back of him. But what the hell was the defender in front thinking? Because while Ndulu's looking behind him, over his shoulder at this guy he's going to try and go round, he's not looking at the Barnsley defender in front of him, who can now see the ball and see the attacker, Ndulu, is starting to look and think about going the other way. Put your foot on the ball, tap it, push it, make it so that it at least bobbles and you can't control it as easy. But he didn't. He just stood there looking at him going, oh, where are you going? And, of course, Ndulu went round the defender and tapped it in the net. So Barnsley's defence can do the most insane things. And I was watching it again and again thinking, why didn't he just put his foot out and tap the ball? It would have been so easy. It's in front of him. It's not as if he's going to hit his leg and give away a penalty. You can make sure you hit the ball from there. It's in front of you, and they're paid enough to be able to do that. By the way, I couldn't. You have to think straight away, but it's there. They're trained to do it. Before anybody says, "Well, could you have done it?" So more of the Barnsley 62% possession, 14 shots, 4 on target. Yeah, for where they are, Barnsley should be doing a lot more shots on target than that. And for 62% possession, yeah, I think realistically 14 is, for the amount of play they had, I'm sure it seemed like they made more shots than that, but they should be getting more shots than 14 with that sort of possession and with that sort of. They had a commanding position all the way through that game. Let's face it, Cambridge did try to sort of muster some resistance in the second half, and like I say, they were by no means completely outplayed or outclassed. They actually played some very good football. And there was some really good, classy moments from Cambridge. This wasn't the side that lost to Rotherham in Cambridge. Absolutely not. That side was dross. This side is completely different. And I told you, Cambridge fans, that you had something in you that could get you out of this. This proves it. You have the abilities to get out of that. But so do a lot of the others in the bottom 4 and 5, probably in the bottom 6. There's several teams in there that could get out of it if they change and improved. You have improved. Unfortunately, 1 or 2 others have improved as well. But keep on this road and keep battering at it. You've improved a hell of a lot. Barnsley, yeah, you just have little moments of just forgetting things, and you can't do that. You've got to be switched on from the beginning. On the whole, I think Barnsley did deserve to win. There were a lot more attacking moments, I think, from Barnsley, and I think you really could see. I mean, there were twice as many passes, for instance, from Barnsley, so you could see that they were building up for an awful lot more of the time. And just not quite getting that precision shot on the end of it. I think Barnsley will make it to about 5th or 6th, 7th place, somewhere between 5th and 8th at the minute. But I think, and yeah, I agree with my Barnsley fan that watches. Yeah, I think that they'll do it. I think they'll just about sneak in that bottom end of the playoffs. But they've got to be able to sort out these defensive lapses where they just seem to just switch off for 5 minutes, and you can't do that in League One. There's too many people around you willing to and waiting to take the ball. So we said Cambridge 1, Barnsley 3, because I thought Cambridge would score. They have been doing better and they have been playing well. Indeed, they did play better, just like we expected, and they did score like I expected. They even scored 1 as we expected. But Barnsley I expected to score at least 3 because just purely based on class and style. They do have more class, they do have more style. Their players are more accustomed to each other. They've been playing better with each other all season. But it wasn't 1-3, it was 1-1. And Cambridge will come out feeling quite happy about this. They've seen a good game of football. It wasn't the dross at the beginning of the season. Barnsley will be thinking, we should have really turned this one around. We should have really got that winner in the second half. But I just want to make, I actually want to make a comment about somebody, because there were 2 players for me that were really, really playing well. Gent seemed to have, he was intercepting everything that he went for in that game. Gent just seemed to be, anything he went for, forget it, he's getting it. And he was intercepting like mad in the game. Another interception. Where the hell is this guy come from? He's amazing. It's like, boom, intercept, boom. Yeah, his ball off might not have been as great, but as far as interceptions go, he was the king. And then you've got De Givney going down the right-hand side, covering all that. The space that he was running, it was absolutely amazing. He'd run the full length of pitch, it'd be in defence. Oh, and De Givney gets it in defence. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, he's in the right-hand corner in the final third. You think, how the bloody hell's he got all that way? He did a hell of a lot of running, and he never seemed to let up. and he was always tackling for the ball. He's a great tackler. He's like tackle, bang, he's got the ball. Duguidney, brilliant. And this is how good I think Barnsley is, because then early on they brought on Nwakali. I mean, some of those, couple of those shots are curling, and you're thinking, how on earth did that not go in? And I'm thinking, Nwakali is, from what I mean, those three, I couldn't tell you which one I would choose. I really can't. Nwakali was amazing. Duguidey was his usual hard-working, really excellent tackler. Brilliant player. And you just look at it and you think, well, added to Ghent, you think, what a trio. I can see them doing well. Keep those on the pitch, keep them fit, keep them well, and you'll do well. Lose one or two of them, and I think they might have an issue. But if Barnsley can keep those three well and fit, I can see that being one hell of a side come the middle end of the season. So well done. We got 1-3. It was 1-1. Never mind. We go on to Stoke versus Wrexham now, and I played a bit of a joker here. So I said Stockport long league. Stockport were 4, Wrexham 1. Surely I couldn't be right, could I? I mean, Wrexham are going to win this, aren't they? So I was thinking Stockport have been playing really well, scoring 4s and 5s, and being quite good and technical with their shots. And I could see them getting behind this brick wall 5 in a row that we knew Wrexham would play. And Wrexham did indeed play the 5 across the back and hope that they could stop Stockport County from getting behind it. It became quite clear from the off that Stockport weren't going to be bothered by a back 5, and that they could pull the players whichever way they want to and go round the back. And they were getting round the back quite easy, which is going to be, I think, now something that a lot of people look at and think, how did Stockport get around so easy this back 5? Because other teams so far found it quite difficult. So this is going to be, I think, a signal to in future games for the other teams playing Wrexham. So they got round quite easy, and they got that goal from Louis Barry on 24. And I tell you what, he could have got. There's about 2 or 3 he should really have netted, but there were some amazing shots by Stockport, and how some of them got saved or cleared or didn't go in was absolute amazed. I was just amazed by it. And Stockport did exactly what I thought they would. They blasted that net so many times, or towards the net at least, that you think, surely it can't end 1-0. Surely. 54% possession, right? That's not a huge amount more than Wrexham 146. Yet they got 19 shots at target, 7 of them on target. And you're thinking, that is pretty much, that's pretty good. And really, for 54%, 19 shots at target, they weren't bothered about that back 5 at all. Were they classy shots or were they grass cutters? They certainly weren't grass cutters. There were some that were just, they expected them to curl, basically, and I think a couple of them that struck it just went, I didn't quite, you could see them do this and didn't quite tip enough. So they were trying to do curlers, really. Well, no, too high, too wide, and but 7 shots, 1 goal, 7 shots on target, 1 goal. Yeah, they were unlucky not to get 2 or 3. They were unlucky not to get 4, to be quite honest, which is what we predict them to get 4. They could quite easily have got 4 in that game, quite easily. Wrexham came back in the second half. and they had around 75th minute. They started playing really well, and for about a 10-minute spell, they really looked like they could equalise. And Stockport sort of sat back a little bit, just for 10 minutes, and then they suddenly came back and started blasting the goal again. It was like, well, we're not going to stop at this, we're just going to try and make it. And in the last few minutes, that one-on-one with the goalkeeper, how on earth, if he'd have put it to the right or the left, it would have been a goal, but he blasted it just to one side of the goalkeeper as he tried on-rushing him. Great on-rushing technique by the goalkeeper, by the way, absolutely. But he should have scored from there, and it should have been put away with a few minutes to go. But it wasn't. It was Stockport County 1, Wrexham 0. We said Stockport 4, Wrexham 1. They do always seem to score like none or one and just like nick it by one goal. So we will claim a win. We will claim a start. We got one right, guys. But a lot of people were saying that Stockport could, with the amount of goals they're scoring, could have quite easily get 4. Louis Barry, I'm sorry, but what a strike, what a goal! And there were at least 2 others that were similar prowess, and just amazing play there. And Stockport fans, you must be really proud of that team, because they are playing, or they played there very, very well. It's no wonder that we now have Stockport in 4th on 27 points. We have Wrexham in 3rd on 28. So we want to just look at the top 6. So we get our start. We'll just have a quick look at the league. We got Wycombe Wanderers in 1st place on 32 points. In 2nd, we've got Birmingham on 30 points. In 3rd, we've got Wrexham on 28. Third, we've got Wrexham on 28. 4th, we've got Stockport on 27. 5th, Barnsley on 25. And in 6th, we have Lincoln City on 26. So, Barnsley are on 26 and Lincoln are on 26. Sorry about that. Bottom 4 at the minute: Crawley, Cambridge, Burton, Shrewsbury, 13, 11, 8, 8. But you've got to remember, of those bottom 4, Crawley Town are playing really well in the second half. If they can do 90 minutes, they can really put pressure on Leyton Orient, Wigan, Blackpool and Rotherham. Cambridge, as I said, they are getting better. 1-1 against Barnsley. There's no doubt that, in my mind, that they've come from 24th to 22nd, guys. They are coming up that league. Can they get out of the bottom 4? Absolutely. They'll be putting pressure on Orient, Wigan, Blackpool and Rotherham. And then you've got Burton, who they had a little bit of a stint where they played really well and started showing that they could do things. They can get back to that, and they could get back to that, but at the minute, that's the team that I'm most worried about. Shrewsbury Town as well. They're a little bit off the mark at the minute. I think they have the players. They have the players. If they can get them playing well, I think that there's no doubt that they can come off the bottom. But the point is, that's all 4 of those bottom 4 that can or have improved. 2 of them have improved. 2 of them have shown they can improve. That's all 4 teams catching up: Leyton Orient, Wigan, Blackpool and Rotherham. And those bottom 8, it could literally be any 4 from that bottom 8. And I'm not putting Rotherham out of it, because at the minute we're from 4th from bottom, we're only 4 points away from 4th from bottom. So any of those bottom 8 could go down. I think it's likely to be one of those bottom 4 or 5 or 4 of those bottom 4 or 5, but it could be any of those bottom 8. So please do put your predictions in the bottom for next week. Please do put your predictions in the bottom for your entire end of season, because I want to do, in January, as we go into the January transfer window, I want to do another video on how you, the fans, are thinking the season will go towards the end, and who you think is going to go down, and who you think is going to go up. And I'm going to do your predictions for the Football League One, and hopefully I get enough feedback. If we don't get enough, I'm going live and I'm going to ask you direct, and you can bloody well give me your answers. This is Jon S Sports Channel. Like and subscribe, please do. We do have a bit of fun. We like to have a bit of banter in the on the listen-alongs and watch-alongs that I was hoping to get back to, but we need more subscribers to do that. And it's Jon S Sports Channel over and out for one more week.